funeral service for DJ Warras is currently underway. Warrick Stock being shot and killed exactly a week ago. It seems that there's now a procession moving out of the church itself after the Requiem Mass was held inside the venue. We've been able to see a number of mourners, including some of Warras's former colleagues. I know Lerato Kganyago has been spotted in the room, Lutando Shosha. These are his co-presenters, I beg your pardon, on Live Amp, that popular music show that really was seen as a cultural authority broadcast on SABC 1. As you can see, hardly a dry eye in the room as many continue to pay homage to DJ Warras. Today he's been remembered as a loving father who had deep affection for his sons who were seated on the front row of the church itself. There are reports that the family has requested a private cremation ceremony, which I imagine is going to unfold after this particular service, which lasted just over an hour or so at the Rosebank Catholic Church. And there is still, of course, much to be said about the circumstances surrounding this popular music and radio DJ's life, and in fact his killing, I should say, with 2 suspects now being arrested. Police, of course, at the initial stages of the investigation saying that they are on the lookout for 3 people who are said to have ambushed DJ Warras on this day exactly a week ago, the 16th of December, as he emerged from the Zambezi building in the Joburg inner city near Carlton Centre. And in fact, we understand that he was there because his private security company had been hired to carry out services there. There had certainly been murmurs that they were on the brink of installing biometric systems there, essentially, which would control access to the building itself. Now, there are many people who are making inferences as things stand, but police are yet to come out with an official motive for the killing. Suffice to say that there are, at the very least, perceptions that this was a target against DJ Warras, and there's real questions, of course, still about what the motive might have been. He, in many respects, has been described, as I mentioned, as somebody who had deep love and affection for his own family. Multiple speakers going on about essentially how he often spoke about his sons, the 3 sons who, of course, now have to make do without their father under these circumstances, no less. His sudden death sending shockwaves even throughout the entertainment industry and the broader public. Family members appealing for privacy, as I mentioned, and asking the public also not to share some of those distressing images that we saw online in the wake of his killing. And this is out of respect of his children. At the memorial service that was held last week, he was celebrated as a fearless voice and a unifying figure whose life impacted many, even beyond entertainment circles. As I mentioned a short while ago, 2 suspects have now been arrested. They are facing murder charges and are expected in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court tomorrow. Authorities stressing, though, that the investigation is ongoing as they seek more accomplices. And as you can see there, speak of the sons a short while ago, the eldest son, or no, this looks like the middle child, struggling to hold back his tears as the reality in some respects of what's taken place really begins to sink in. It goes without saying, it's absolutely unenviable situation for this family who is now confronted with the very sobering reality of not being able to see their loved one again. Police and eyewitnesses, of course, also speaking about those moments that Warras, or at least the final moments before his life was cut short. And now there's a heavy reliance on that CCTV footage that we're told about, which hopefully will help police piece together who was behind this killing and, of course, importantly, why that, of course, took place. Difficult story to tell at a difficult moment for this family that now has to reckon with what has happened. But as we take that in, let's take you back to what police have had to say so far. 2 suspects being arrested in connection with Warras's killing. They're expected in court tomorrow. Police saying the popular DJ was approached by 3 unknown men, all captured on CCTV footage, and they opened fire before fleeing on foot. DJ Warras, family, friends and colleagues gathering at the Immaculate Conception Cathedral, or the Rosebank Catholic Church, to pay their final respects to the beloved radio and TV personality. Lopang, Alamu, part of our team, watching the story as it unfolds. And Lopang, the service may have come and gone, but still so many people really, I suppose, struggling to come to terms with what's happening. Hardly a dry eye in sight.
Ayanda, that's correct. In fact, it seems as though these emotions became worse just after the service ended. Now, the service has just concluded, and the family members are now headed to go and prepare for tomorrow's private affair. We did mention earlier that the service will not have a burial today. The family will then go ahead and have their own little final funeral actually tomorrow. And they just made this funeral service to ensure that his friends, his other loved ones, as well as his industry colleagues get to say goodbye to their friend. And, you know, as tributes were shared and prayers were offered, there's really a strong sense of unity amongst the people who attended this funeral service today. Ayanda, in fact, we've spoken to a number of people who said, you know what, I just need some time to catch a breath. Now, this is because a lot of people were so emotional. We also saw his children, his mother. We saw some of the neighbors as well who shared, I guess, wonderful stories about the man that he was outside of the businessman, as well as the socialite that we know him to be. I'm going to try and move out of shot as well, because that coffin is still there. Only now is it being prepared to leave the Rosebank Catholic Church, and we are not certain yet as to where exactly the family is headed, but it would be quite unfair of us to want that information at this point as they prepare for the final funeral tomorrow. And it's really quite a somber moment, Ayanda. A lot of people really just trying to gather their thoughts, their emotions. And that funeral service actually took an hour or so, or less than an hour. They were quite strict with that program. It was really quick. And the family will now have all the time to really look at what they will be doing tomorrow. In fact, he will be laid to rest by his family on the same day that those 2 suspects who were arrested in his murder will be making their first appearance in court. And it's quite a somber moment for the family, as well as them really laying their loved one to rest and then having to deal with the legal aspect of this tragedy that befell the Stock family. But as things stand, the family is getting ready to leave the venue, and for what we understand, some of their industry colleagues as well as his friends will be joining the family for that private affair, Ayanda.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was a relatively short service, and a lot of it was actually steeped in some of the rituals and traditions of the Catholic Church itself. A lot of reading from the Bible, as it were, before that short reflection that was given by the Reverend. But there was a eulogy at the beginning, Lopang, where, you know, much was said about Warrick as a father, you know, and it's, I suppose, on that score that many people will be thinking about those 3 young boys who now have to grapple with the sobering reality of figuring their lives out without their dad.
And that is exactly what everyone has been saying. The fact that these boys will now have to live their lives without their father. They might be quite young, they might be quite not yet experienced in this life, but they seemed to be quite strong, actually. But during today's service, they shed quite a lot of tears. Obviously, that was expected. And I think the reality that they will now be left without their father. And we do know that the number of people that we spoke to since this morning have always been reiterating the fact that he was, more than anything, the best father to his sons. We do know that Ethan was also brave enough to speak at the memorial service. but things were really tough for him today, now navigating a life without his father. And then also trying to follow up on the investigation of this particular case. It's really not going to be an easy journey for them, but they do say that they let the law take its course and hope that the South African Police Service can really give them some solace. You know, it might not really be enough because they can't bring back their loved one, but it would be great that some form of justice is served in this particular tragedy. The family will now be leaving, and I think the casket will also just be moving at this moment. We did mention that they might not be allowing us to go anywhere else, so I think this is where us, the media, will be leaving this venue and allowing the family some space to prepare for that private affair tomorrow.
Fair enough. Lopang Alamu reporting live there from Rosebank Catholic Church on the other side of that relatively brief funeral service for DJ Warras, formerly known as Warrick Stock, being shot and killed last week at the age of 40. 2 suspects now arrested. Police on the lookout for a third, with, of course, questions still swirling around the motive for the killing. Meanwhile, multi-award-winning former SABC journalist Veronica Fourie has passed away at the age of 65. She died on Monday after battling cancer. Fourie served at the SABC Gqeberha offices for 25 years before she retired in 2021. She started as a radio journalist back in 1995 and later branched to doing both TV and radio reporting. During her time at the public broadcaster, Fourie received 13 regional awards and 2 national ones. Our reporter Nadipa Blaiki has more.
Auntie V, as her colleagues called her, was a true storyteller. Fourie did not only chase headlines, she dug into the human side of stories. Major stories she covered include the drowning of 13 people in Storms River in 2000 and the notorious murder of Gqeberha teacher Jade Panayoti in 2015.
You were a colleague, but more than that, you were also a friend. And the only solace I can take is the fact that your memories will be larger than life and they will live on. But you were my 007 in that office, and we got up to so many tricks and pranks. But you were the glue that held the Eastern Cape office together. You made us a family. I will never forget the numerous stories that we went on. You covered my back, I covered your back. And you earned the nickname Full Colour Fourie. And I think everyone who knows you knew exactly why. You were